Hi, I'm Dana, and today I want to start a new little series on my channel because recently I've been seeing a lot of people info dump about their special interests and favourite shows and games and movies and stuff on Twitter, and I love it. I absolutely love just reading people info dump about their special interests. I think it's kind of the best, and I would love to watch videos of people doing that, but I can't find any. So it's a horrible rainy day here because I live in England. But I've got my vintage little basic rollers cup, I've got my favourite vintage 80s jumper, and I feel like I'm ready to tell you all about my favourite show. You don't have to have been around here long to know that Ashes to Ashes is my absolute all-time favourite show. I watched it for the first time this year, which is an absolute travesty as far as I'm concerned. And it just immediately took over my entire life. I've been watching Doctor Who since 2005. And this just immediately took over its place as my favourite show. And that's never ever happened. Doctor Who has been my favourite show since the day I first watched it. And suddenly it isn't. However, before I can talk to you about Ashes, which I very much want to, we've got to talk about Life on Mars. Now, I watched Life on Mars when I was a kid. Like, I watched this with my parents when it aired in like 2006. And I enjoyed it. I liked it. But I didn't immediately attach myself to it, you know. I'm going to give you a rundown of what they're both about, but I'll be avoiding any major spoilers because I do genuinely want people to go and watch these. So Life on Mars is the first one. I know, like, a two-part TV show where they're like different shows. It's weird, and at first I disliked it, but I'll explain later why I really like it now. So Life on Mars is about Sam Tyler, played by John Sim, who, John Sim's brilliant. And he's just a police dude going about his life in Manchester, loads of Northerners in it, it's brilliant, and he gets hit by a car, and when he wakes up it's just 1973 in Manchester, and he just has to go about his life, but you can tell that there's something going on, and he figures out he's in a coma. Anytime I say coma I think of Vade Edmondson. If anyone gets why, you're my favourite person. But yeah, so he figures out that he's in a coma in 2006 where he's still alive, but he's living this weird 70s dream life. And he sort of just has to go about and get through it. And it's really interesting, it's really funny, and some episodes are quite deep. And it's just a good time. And this is where we're introduced to the side characters. Now, Gene Hunt, man, he's the best. He's just this brutish, horrible, misogynistic, racist, homophobic, sexist, just piece of shit cop that you shouldn't love. But underneath it all, you can tell that he's so sweet and he's so nice and he cares so much about keeping people safe from the scum on the streets and the bastards. And he's just great. And obviously, it's not a cop show without some sidekicks, so that's where you get Chris and Ray. Ray is very similar to Gene. He's just this bloke with a muzzy and a perm, and he's always got a ciggy in his mouth or in his hand, and he just calls everyone a fucking puff. And again, he's not a character that I should like. He's not the kind of character I would usually enjoy. He's the epitome of a dude in the 70s. But there's just this underlay, and it's so well acted and the storylines are so great that you can't help but love this guy. And little Chris. Little Chris Skeleton's all the one. And he's just a little baby. He's just a babe. He's just so... You know, he goes along with everything as you do a lot of the time, but you can tell that he's thinking about things and he wants to do the right thing and he wants to make people happy, and he tries so hard, man, he tries so hard. I've just realised that I kind of can't tell you how it moves on to Ashes without spoiling the end of Life on Mars. So I'm just not going to explain how that connects, but the way it connects is really smart and brilliant and I love it. But the 70s are over, move aside bitch, because it's Alex Drake in the goddamn 80s. So we're immediately introduced to Alex Drake in 2008. She's a badass... Fuck. They constantly mix up in the show if she's a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And it means that because the words sound similar, I also don't know which one she is. But she's a fucking badass. She's so cool. She's played by Keely Hawes, and she's just perfect as the character. And I thought it was going to be a case of she's one of those actresses where she managed to find a character that's quite close to who she is, so it's easy to act. But she's nothing like Alex Drake, at all. And the more I've watched her, she's not like any of the characters that she plays. She's genuinely just that good of an actor. It's insane. But yeah, so we get introduced to Alex in like 2008. She's got a little girl Molly and a godfather, Evan. He's a dude, he's nice, I think. I haven't made up my mind on him yet. I've only watched the show like 12 times, you know. And she's going about her life doing a little police work, being a good person, and this asshole Arthur Layton just fucking shoots her. And she wakes up in this like party in the 80s with like Ultravox playing, and it's fucking sick. It's so damn cool. And she like makes her way through and gets off the boat and realizes like, damn, there's like Adam and Ants posters here. Like, this is the 80s. And then she gets grabbed by this dude, and Jean and the gang pull up, and Chris and Ray get out, and they're all so cool. There's this shot that's from like between her legs as she stood there in the dress, and it perfectly frames like the Quattro and Jean, and it's the most fucking perfect shot I have ever experienced in television. It's just absolutely perfect in every way. And the chemistry between like Jean and Alex and Jean and the others, and all of the chemistry in the show is perfect. Just everyone bounces off each other so well, and the writing is flawless. So they take Alex, like, I'm jumping around a lot here, but like I say, this video's for me to feel better, and it's working, so we're going with it. So they take Alex back to the Met Police, because this one's set in London. Not that impressed. I quite like Manchester, but I'll take it, you know? I'll take it because it's perfect. So they take her back to the station, and they're all like, oh, there's a bird in the station, oh, look at tits on her, oh yeah. And then a DI card falls out of her pocket because she's their new DI. Alex Drake, bitches. And she's just thrown into these, like, this pit of horrible men. And they all have the undercurrent, you know, of like, they care and they want to be good people. It's the time that they're in and everything. It's very nuanced in that region, I'd say. But yeah, so Alex is like a part of the police force. She's doing police business. Everyone kind of hates her because she's a woman that's in a higher position than them. But she's doing the good work. And then she realises that, similarly to Sam, she's getting like messages from the future, aka the real time. And she also knew about Sam's whole like journey into the past. So she's like, damn, I've like come up with like my little dream world based on what Sam saw. This is pretty fucked, isn't it, Jean? And it's just fantastic. As the show progresses, you just get so attached to these characters. Like I say, the writing is absolutely flawless. Each twist and turn that you get taken on, when you rewatch it, you can go back to like 3 episodes before it happened and be like, they told me this was going to happen, and I didn't think anything of it. And then 3 episodes later, it happened to me. Like, it kind of constantly makes me feel like an idiot, but it's so good that I don't mind feeling stupid. And for me, a lot of the reason that I love different TV shows and movies is normally because of the characters. I'm a very like character-based person. A plot can be a piece of crap, and I will still watch it if I really love the characters. And luckily enough, Ashes covers the whole lot. It's fantastic plot, it's fantastic cast, it's fantastic everything. But to me, the most important part is that it is brilliant characters, you know? And the character development that you get as it goes through, as they all like learn more about themselves and figure shit out, and the fear that they sometimes feel. And it's just, you know, you see people like completely lose their loyalty, and you're so disappointed in them. Like, it's like they did it to me, and not just in this TV show. I'm just like, how could he do that to me? But he didn't do it to me, so it's fine, but it's not. It does, however, leave you with questions. That's the one thing that annoys me. There is supposed to be like a 3rd show eventually that they apparently have like a lot of things already in the works and planned for. It can't come soon enough, but they leave you with questions. And I'm not gonna like I don't want to make it spoilery, this video, but if you've watched it, I want to know what the fuck Gene said to that guy, because he didn't tell him Man fucking City or United or whatever was gonna lose, did he? Come on. And I want to know who the hell Paul Thordy is. The whole Paul Thordy thing confuses me to no end. I really hate the whole Paul Thordy thing. If I don't get answers to that, I'm going to like track down the writer and get me an answer, you know. But outside of that, I also feel like it's a great mixture of genres, because obviously I get the time travel element. I am a sucker for time travel. Time travel and aliens are like my favourite things in a TV show. So we get the time travel element, and I'm already happy. But then you get these like moments of pure romance between Jean and Alex, and I am a little bit of a sucker for a good romance. But it's done in a way that's still very like subtle and tasteful, and a lot of the times, like, you know it's not going to go all the way there, but you really bloody want it to. But then you've got horror elements as well, because that damn clown, okay? They see weird ass shit in the past, okay? That's what happens when your brain's like partially in the future and partially in the past, apparently. And Alex's thing that she sees is the damn clown off the front of, oh god, I'm a massive Bowie fan, why have I forgotten what the album's called? Scary Monsters, Super Freaks, the clown off the cover of Scary Monsters and Super Freaks. It's fucking horrible. And in the show, it's also fucking horrible. I don't like clowns. I don't like clowns at all. And there's an episode of Doctor Who from the 80s with Sylvester McCoy and Ace, Sophie Aldred. I always just call it Ace because Ace is my favourite companion. But there's an episode where there's a clown in it that's like very, very similar. And I'm just like, so is the BBC gonna like constantly haunt me with this fucking clown in a hat just chasing women I like? Like, but it's a great element to it, and it's one that works really well like with everything else in the show. But then you also get layers of comedy because like it's undeniable that Northerners are funny. We just are. Not so much me, I don't think I'm like particularly funny, but most Northerners are pretty funny. And you know, Philip Glenister isn't actually a Northerner, he's a bloody Southerner, and I literally found that out like 6 months ago. I've gone 15 years of my life thinking the man was a Manc, and he's not. However, he plays one real bloody well, and it's all he plays. I've seen like 4 things that he's a Manc in, like. But anyway, Northerners are funny, and they've perfectly written like the Northern humour into it. Like a lot of the stuff that like Jean and Ray say especially is stuff where I'm like, oh yeah, like my uncle or my dad or that guy that lived down the street when I was a kid or that guy in the pub that time. Like it's all stuff that I've heard around. It's not so much stuff that you hear anymore, obviously, because it's set in the 80s. But it's such like genuine, just northern fellas, and it's really funny, and it's so accurate. You know, it just feels it's like a lot of BBC shows. It's got that very just British feeling, like it's just very very British, and I love it. Like I'm not the most patriotic of people, but I really love what we do for television. I think British television's pretty much the best there is. And an element that's probably not so important to other people, but like I'm currently wearing a jumper from the 80s and drinking out of a mug from the 80s, I clearly get very into shows. The fashion and the setting and like the set dressing, all of it is like, oh, it makes me lose my mind. Like I have screenshots on my computer of just Alex's apartment because I'm like, okay, so I want a dressing table like that, and I want that like wicker magazine stack thing that was very popular in the 80s that she has in her flat. I want one of them. The wicker bookcase, the stripy couch. She has a bed that like the headboard continues all the way around and becomes like the bedside tables, and it has like buttons built in for like the light and a cassette player. It's the sickest shit that these fuckers found for this show. And that's without even talking about the fashion, because Alex's outfits, I've got to self-promote. It'll be linked here. I did a whole video dressing up as Alex Drake, okay? I became Alex Drake for the day. I was very proud of myself. It was a lot of fun. Go watch it if you fancy. The fashion is incredible. Like, I'm no fashion historian. I really enjoy vintage fashion, but I'm no expert on it. However, I find it so accurate to the 80s. Like, going purely off my own experience with buying vintage clothes from the 80s, I've got so many pieces that I see very similar things in Ashes to Ashes, predominantly on Shaz and Alex. Oh shit, I didn't talk about Shaz. They added a woman into the one in the 80s. We only got one woman in the one in the 70s, and that was Annie. And although she's great, I was kind of like, okay. Whereas we get 2 whole women in the 80s one, and they're both fantastic. Shaz is kind of great as well, because they have a whole chat about how gender roles are like stupid essentially, and she's like, oh well, everyone's a bit of both, aren't they? Fab. I love Shaz. She just, there's so many little hints about her specifically that like I wish I'd picked up on the first time I watched it so I didn't feel so stupid. But she's just a great character. And Montserrat Lombard, I mean, what a cool fucking name for a star, but she's just so good. And the character's just so sweet and lovely, but she's got this like feistiness and this fire where, you know, you can't just walk over her. She won't take that, but she does try to be a good person, and she doesn't want to like rock the boat. I was talking about fashion, wasn't I? Shaz's hairstyles, if I had more confidence, I think I would have gone for one of her hairstyles, but I've tried to be Keely Hawes instead. Sorry. Imagine cutting off like 15 inches of hair to try and look more like Keely Hawes though. Like that's how far my love for the show goes. You know, it's just very quickly become something that I utterly adore, and it helps that I already sort of knew most of the characters from when I was a little kid, although it makes the ending all the more heartbreaking. That's the only spoiler I'm giving you. I cry every time I finish a show. And I'll give you that, like, I still cry when the Doctor and Rose are still on that damn beach, you know? Like, I do just continuously cry at things. But the way that I cry at this, like, it just impacts me the same way every single time, because every time you watch it, you pick up all these new things, and it's such, like, a lovely, comforting show, because even though Alex is, like, so out of her depth and just so, like, different from everyone else and literally in, like, a different world, essentially, which I relate to, I feel like that, not so much anymore, but when I was a teenager and, like, earlier 20s, I felt like that all the time, so I really relate to that. But then she's got Gene, who's like very much, you know, he's the world there almost. Like, he's so important to everyone, including her, and like the universe. And this is why you need to watch it. This will make sense if you listen to me say all this after you've watched it, if you haven't. I think I get too far into shows that have like a sort of moral justification. That's part of why I love Doctor Who so much. You know, like the no guns, always be kind to people, blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of guns in this and a lot of not being very kind to people. You see a lot of people get beaten up. You get see, it's a cop show. Bad things happen to people. But it just brings me so much comfort and so much joy. Like, there's parts of it that, like, every single time, it just makes my heart, like, swell with joy. Like, I'm trying to think of something that absolutely isn't a spoiler. The first time Gene comes out of his office to, like, greet Alex and everyone, he has, like, a glass office at the back of the room that's, like, the police room. And the door opens and, like, swings open as he's walking out. He doesn't touch the damn door. The door opens on its own. You can see through the glass. There's no one, like, touching the door handle. The door just opens on its own because Gene Hunt's so damn powerful. That's what doors do for him. Like, it's just... every single time I see that, it just makes me laugh. I'm just like, of course, Gene doesn't have to open his own doors. Why would he? It's just brilliant. And there's so many, like, little quips from different characters, and it's just... it's the best damn show, okay? I've been talking about it for 25 minutes straight now. I'm gonna stop. If you've watched Ashes to Ashes or Life on Mars, I would love to have your own info dump in the comments to read. I would love any sort of discussion about this. Please go and watch it. Like, I know the last, like, decade we've had a whole thing of, like, when people find something they like, hold it close, and, like, ugh, it used to be, like, really just my thing, and now, like, everyone likes it. I want everyone to like this. I want a fan base there that will be, like, hounding the writers to get the next one out. I want everyone ever to have watched this show. Like, I know it's not gonna happen. I know not everyone's gonna watch it, but you could. If you haven't and you're not gonna watch it, I get it. It's not everyone's thing. I might think it's the best thing in the entire universe because it is. I get that not everyone will think that. So if you wanted to, like, info dump about your favourite show or movie, I know not everyone's into shows as well. If you want to info dump about bloody anything, I love reading info dumps. I'd love to read yours. I think it'd be fun. And yeah. If you've enjoyed this and want to see more, I do want to make ones about, like, different things. I want to make one about Doctor Who, and one about the Foo Fighters, one about Crimson Peak. So there's going to be more if you're into this kind of thing. And if you're not, I'm just going to carry on making them regardless. But if you like it, feel free to like and subscribe. It'd be really cool if you did. To everyone that has, thank you. I did not ever think that I would have this many subscribers, and it's a little bit weird. And I also didn't think I'd ever have people commenting on videos, like, regularly. And now, like, I recognise people's names and pictures and all sorts, because she's, like, come back for multiple videos, and you comment and leave me, like, insightful or thoughtful or nice things. It's just really nice. I really appreciate it. It's really nice to feel like I'm actually connecting with people, because I don't really talk to anyone in real life. And the internet's always been kind of me just shouting into a void. And now people are answering me. There's other people sat in the void as well. It's really nice, so thank you very much. And I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, afternoon, week, or day, or month, or whatever else. I hope you do something that brings you joy like this has for me. This has changed my day. I woke up feeling like shit with a load of rain, freezing cold, and I feel, like, so happy now. Oh, like, talking about the things we enjoy, I think is just so important for autistic people. Like, I think it's important for anyone, don't get me wrong. I think talking about anything is important for people, you know, talk about things that make you sad, help you, like, recover from them. Talking about things that make you happy, make you happier. But for autistic people, especially with, like, the intensity of our special interests, I just think it's really important to, like, get it out sometimes and get to info dump in, like, a safe place where you can just info dump and it's fun and cool. So I've already done my full outro, so I'm just gonna bugger off now. I'll see you again in a few days.